our first guest. It's Josh Udall. Am I saying that right? I just read it. I never say it.
You were spot on.
Yes.
People usually don't get it the first time, so way to be.
Okay, great. Because like you see words and you just read them, but you never actually say them. Josh Udall, you are the host of the Elevate podcast. I think this is your first time on Rebel News, is it?
It is my first time, 100%.
Oh,
yeah.
What a delight! I think you're an up and coming, I think, conservative commentator in Canada. I don't know how you would describe yourself, but you've got kind of a new podcast. I think it's great. I think you do some great commentary, and I've just watched you grow sort of during the election campaign and post the election campaign. And I'm so glad to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
No, thanks for having me. It means a lot.
Yeah. Josh, who are you watching tonight? If you're following the Toronto Star, you're supposed to be all eyes on Bonnie Critchley.
Of course, that is, of course, where they want you to focus. I actually had, if we go back to where the debates were doing the other night, where you had Grant Abraham, who really made a splash early on and then decided to target Poilievre during that time. And people got the people going. They got fired up. And that kind of sunk him in a huge way, I would say. And honestly, I have more of my eyes on him, I think I'm being honest. Bonnie Critchley is just where they want us to focus. But the reality is, I think I was seeing it, like, we're expecting Poilievre to hit like 69, 70% of the vote. And the left is seeing that as a win because while the previous Conservative member got 80% in a very hotly contested election, but people are on for summer vacation right now. I'm on summer vacation. I just got off the golf course 20 minutes ago. I'm just enjoying, like, who's in town to do this election, really? I think 70% during the middle of the summer, I think, is still very good. And that's where they're trying to hang their win right now. And I get it. People are frustrated. Well, you're parachuting a candidate in, yada, yada, yada. Well, that's what's happening. That's where we're at. So I think Poilievre's going to be well on his way to taking this one tonight.
I'm so happy that you mentioned Grant Abraham, Josh, because he had a spectacular early showing in that debate performance. Like what he was saying, he was hitting every nail on the head. And then it felt like he crossed a little bit of a line and lost the audience. And we were actually really lucky on this live stream to be able to chat with Grant Abraham about some of the things he said. And he didn't back off necessarily. Right. He did not back off. And I think the questions that he is posing are important questions, especially as it pertains to conservatism and what it means to be a Western conservative. Grant said things that would make a liberal or left-leaning politician blush, such as, I believe that there are only two genders. I believe that the compelled speech isn't free speech. He said a whole bunch of things that made a whole bunch of sense. But you're right. He lost the audience somewhere in the middle. But it was interesting to see his name pop up, Ezra, because if they're alphabetically ordered, Grant Abraham is right at the top of that ballot. So we'll see if that makes any difference in the showings.
Well, I want to jump in quickly because I'm curious. Because Grant, he comes from a legal background. And the one thing he really made an issue of was he talked about the security clearance, which quite frankly is, well, a keyword that everyone will tune you out immediately. But when he came on my show, he explained it, and I'm sure he explained it here, of like, if Pierre could have done it and he could have dealt with the legal consequences of it. Right. And I think we have Ezra on as well. I know that obviously Ezra has a legal background. Do you agree with Grant's assessment of that? And was Pierre right or wrong to do what he did?
So, and I'll just give Ezra the Coles Notes version of what Grant said. He basically said, if it is in the interest of national security, you can violate your security clearance, being sworn to secrecy, or you could just do it because you are a principled man and then deal with the fallout afterwards. And so that was his assessment of, why he thought Poilievre is making excuses for not getting his security clearance so that he could find out who the 11 traitors are, but not the rest of us.
Yeah, it's a really great question, and it's a real moral dilemma, isn't it?
It is. It's a quandary.
But I just have to think that the guy who wants to be the prime minister and leads by example has got to be that one extra degree clean. And that saying, a fish rots from the head down. And look at the two different prime ministerships, Stephen Harper versus Justin Trudeau, how they led by example. Here's a fact about Harper that you might not know. Obviously, he flew to a ton of global events, G7s, NATO meetings, etc. He would typically come home rather than stay a night or an extra night in that destination because he was so paranoid about his hotel bills and his food bills that as a form of keeping the cost down, he would come home early, just like, or not early, like he wouldn't leave a meeting unmet, but if possible, they would leave without staying in a hotel. They were so worried about perception. Remember, Bev Oda, a cabinet minister, lost her job over a $16 bar fridge hotel minibar orange juice. Compare that to Justin Trudeau, who mere months into office is taking a $100,000 gift from the Aga Khan to party on Billionaire Island. And it trickles down. My point is, if you want to be PM and you say, well, I'm going to break a rule because I know better. Oh, you're basically giving a liberty to everyone, and you're in the lawmaking business. You're in the ethics business. So I don't agree. Look, the media's always going to find something to really focus on. If it wasn't that, it would be something else. And yeah, sometimes it was a little hard to explain, but I think Poilievre made the right move. That's just my view.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do too. And as you point out, there is a stark contrast between the two parties. We know that the Conservatives actually told on their own Senator Victor O when they were like, he's getting a little bit too cozy with China. He's taking some PRC-linked travel. They told on him, that he was I think a Harper-appointed senator. They told on themselves. And then you look at Justin Trudeau, who, after warnings from the government, he signed the nomination papers for Gary Anandasangari after the Sri Lankan government said he's linked to terror. Don't do this. Didn't matter. Trudeau went and signed those because he knew that he was a strong fundraiser from the Tamil community. So you just see the two different, then there's Han Dong. Signing those nomination papers, knowing full well what went on in that riding. They were all aware of it. They all testified that they were aware of irregularities there during the nomination process, but they signed it anyways. Busloads of Chinese students. Oh, who paid for the bus? I don't know. Where are they from? I don't know. They all look the same. I don't know.
Let's get right down to it. I don't know if the selection of Mark Carney as the new Liberal leader after Justin Trudeau, that internal vote that the Liberals had, 200,000 ballots were not counted. They were just chucked out, and no one cared? No, it was, I don't know if you saw the debate amongst those candidates. It was a love-in. They had already all accepted Mark Carney as the boss. There was no prickly questions. The one who would have asked prickly questions, Ruby Dalla, was not allowed in, and a couple of others as well. 200,000 ballots thrown out, no explanation, and no one in the media showed any curiosity about that. And by the way, do you doubt for a second that the People's Liberation Army's hackers had the means, motive, and opportunity to hack into an all-online system? Do you doubt that they could? Do you doubt that they would? It's one thing to steal Han Dong's riding, but imagine placing the Prime Minister right into 24 Sussex Drive. Do you really think they wouldn't try and do that? And do you really think anyone in Canada in power objected to it? Not a word. Anyway, I'm keeping my eyes peeled on the results so far. 0.
Oh, okay. How exciting. They threw out more ballots than they accepted in the Liberal leadership thing. That's outrageous. They tossed out 200,000 and kept 159.
Let me throw one more stat at you.
Do it.
You would think, you've got 300 plus districts or ridings in this country. You would think that there would be some sort of difference between how a rural and an urban riding would go, a Quebec and a Western riding. Right. You would think, for example, Chrystia Freeland would be quite strong in her home district, and same with the other Karina Gould and the other candidates. But it was so obviously manufactured and massaged. They had almost precisely the same ratio in every single district. Are you telling me that Chrystia Freeland didn't even win her own district? That Karina Gould didn't even win her own district? These MPs, many of whom had been there for a decade, who were household names, who had worked the doors. Are you telling me that Mark Carney, who 90% of even Liberals hadn't heard of before, got the same percentage, plus or minus 10%, in every single district, including the home turf of his rivals, Karina Gould and Chrystia Freeland? It's so obviously implausible. It's a fake. It's a fake. Absolutely, it's a fake.
Well, the one thing I did find very interesting there too is, I just want to accentuate the point. You said it there perfectly there, Ezra. But as well, like she didn't just beat out Gould. It didn't just beat out Freeland. He smoked them. He smoked them. Like that doesn't make any logistical sense considering how long they've been in the party for and how well they're known in their communities. It literally didn't make any sense. But also, I guess it helps when Freeland helps you out during a debate, saying he didn't actually say that about Hamas.
Right.
I'm sorry, he didn't. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, there we go. You can see the results here. They were so uniform. I'm not a strong mathematician, but I put the results into Grok and I did some sort of statistical analysis. I should dig that up. And what is the likelihood of this result being this similar in every single district? And I think Grok said, 1 or 2%. It's 99% likely, said Grok, when you feed the numbers in, that this is not a natural result. Anyways, we're talking too much about it, but I put it to you that absolutely we have corruption in our voting. I don't think it's as widespread as was in the U.S. with their massive mail-in ballots and their ballot harvesting, but don't think for a second we don't have jiggery-pokery in our system too.
Yeah, I watched 12 weeks of the Foreign Interference Commission. It's a mess and they've done nothing to fix it, and you can see it. Sorry,
and it's done strategically too. Yeah, it's done strategically as well. It's not like you're going to see widespread, issues with our voting. It's just going to be in specific ridings at specific times, just enough to make sure the regular person doesn't catch on to it, and that you can still explain it away. So,
Josh, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Before we let you go, because I think we have our next guest waiting in the wings. How do people find you? How do they see the work that you do?
Please, yes. You can find us anywhere you stream podcasts at the Elevate Podcast, ELEV8 podcast. We're on YouTube and we're also on X as well as TikTok. So you can kind of check us out there, and love to see you. Love to have you.
Great. Thanks, Josh. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Let's